Hi everyone. One broken glass. Yes, I did it deliberately, but how often do we have a broken glass and have to throw it away? It's not a very expensive glass, it's not lead crystal, but I'm going to try and save it rather than just chucking it in the bin. And what I thought was one candle. But as it is, of course, it's a little bit raggedy. Not ideal as it is. And knowing that it's quite thick around here. So let's get the old faithful piece of paper with all the circles on, with various markings. And as I've mentioned in my videos previously, to mark off equal areas on the glass, I'm just going to stick it roughly on the top of the sheet. Normally it would be on a tabletop, of course, making it a little bit easier, but just to show you roughly, I'm going to put that there, and perhaps I'll make a mark where the red lines are, which is 3 different areas. Okay, so I've marked where the red line is around the glass, so I've got 3 equal areas. Okay, what am I going to do on those areas? Well, this is the plan, okay, but as usual, you never know, it might change. In those areas, I'm thinking of holly. We're coming up to Christmas. So if I go 1, 2, 3, okay, so I've just marked 3 lines. And then I could roughly draw on there. Let me get a little bit closer. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Roughly. And that's just above that line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 holly leaves. Now, I'm not going to carve sharp edges where the holly points are. They're going to be very much softer and rounder. We don't want people hurting themselves on the table. Okay, so this is roughly what I'm going to start off with, and perhaps let's, for example, put, there we go, 3 big berries there, and 3 big berries there, and another 3 big berries there. Okay. Why not? Oh my goodness. This may or may not be successful. As usual, we never know. And so I better get on with it and see if it is. I have got a small Dura White, a soft stone, in my drill, and very roughly going over my drawing. I had used a permanent marker to do this drawing, but clearly that will come off with the amount of water that I'm going to be using. So I'm creating this more permanent outline. Of course, I've got the white paper in the background so that you and I can see the drawing. Here I have a diamond burr that has got a considerable amount of diamond dust going down the shaft, and this is useful for carving. And because I'm going to make a huge amount of dust, in fact anytime you are engraving, put your mask on. I also am very fortunate to have a dust extractor, and so that is also on. Now, lots of water. This will keep it cool, help lubricate, and obviously help with the grinding away of this glass. As you can see, I started and then realized I really couldn't see my little stone outline, so I've just done a quick outline of the top of the holly with the diamond. Okay, so this is almost 100% of speed, so that you can see real time how long it's going to take. And because this top half of the glass is pretty thin, actually, initially it was very quick to take. As I go down to the the thicker areas of the glass, it does take longer. Of course, I am turning the glass a little bit awkwardly towards the camera so that you can see what's going on. And I haven't got it stuck rigidly into my glass holder. I'm just holding it really with my fingers, and it's just sitting loosely in the glass holder because I'm turning it quite a lot. It's going quite rapidly. Very boring, I find. It's a very boring, tedious task, but really doesn't take that long. If it was very, very thick glass, of course, it would take even longer. And as I say, the water is absolutely vital, especially to not wear the diamonds out. So keep that water flowing. Now, what I could have done there, or not necessarily now but later on, is used a rat's tail. Now, a rat's tail is a very much thinner version of that burr, where the diamond dust is going down the shaft a bit. But to be honest, I didn't use the rat's tail, and that was to go between to define the berries more. I kept it quite chunky, in fact. As you can see, it's quite a rough and ready exercise at the moment, but you get the general idea. Every now and again I slipped, so, which is a bit of a pain. So you've got to go slowly and carefully, really. I've got this drill running at about 40,000 RPM, 45 I think. Mine goes up to 50, but as I say, I don't often use 50,000 RPM. The main thing is using water with the diamonds. That really does help. And certainly when I was using the little Dura White stone, I was only going about 15,000 RPM. You never use those at a high speed. Okay, as you can see, it's quite a mess. This would not be any good if I didn't have the water. I know I keep going on about that, but wow, what a difference water makes. The other wonderful thing about the water is it's turning that flying dust into a wet slurry rather than floating about the air. Any extra that is floating about is actually going straight up into my dust extractor. But as I say, it is vitally important that you wear your mask. Just following the lines. I'm actually following just outside of the line rather than bang on the line. just because after the main bulk of the waste glass has gone, then when I'm engraving the rest and neatening them up, you've got a little bit of room for error. Right down the back end of this one berry, and then I'll be turning the drill to go up to take the very, very last bit of glass off, and that was a very nice feeling. You can see every now and again I do sort of get rid of some of the extra little bit of lumpy bits as I go along. You've got to be careful when you come to the end that it doesn't pop off and go flying and actually crack the glass as well. So very, very careful of this last bit. There we go. Now you can see the difference. There is quite a dramatic difference between the top of the glass and the base of the glass. As I say, it's really nice to use the bottom of the glass because it will be much thicker. Well, in all the cases that I've come across. A little bit inconsistent. You can see there's one area there just as a flash. I just noticed that it was not quite as thick as the other side. But then, of course, this is blown glass, so I suppose it's never going to be 100% symmetrical on the base. Now I've got a diamond burr, just a normal round one. It's not very rough. It's a medium grit, and using the water still, all I'm doing is roughing up the surface of the glass so that it becomes white at this point. I have no intention of engraving deeply because obviously I'm wanting this area to remain strong. I'm leaving a line down the middle for the effect of the middle vein, as it were. Remember, everybody, this is not a botanical study, of course. It very rarely is. It's just the impression of holly leaves and berries. As we go further down into the base, I can go a little bit deeper. I'm struggling a little bit to see my stone lines for some reason. And a large diamond burr, and I am very, very lightly filling in the surface. As I say, I'm not wanting to remove glass because I want the maximum thickness here. So I'm just roughing up the surface, and where I see any roughness on the upper edges, I will neaten that as well. Very, very gently. rounding over the top of the holly leaves where it would be slightly sharper, and in fact in real life it's really sharp, but obviously I'm keeping them a bit rounded so they're not going to hurt anybody. So it's at this point I add just a suggestion of the texture of the leaf at an angle, as you would imagine maybe the veins would be going. Now remember, we've got an entire leaf here, upper surface and under surface. So now I will also turn attention to the inside. All I'm doing here is creating that angular texture on the inside. So now you can see there's something slightly special about this engraving when it's engraved on both sides. Quite exciting. There are many things you can do. Of course, you can add all sorts of intriguing textures and then polish out areas so that they show from the inside out, but I was keeping this simple. But keep in mind all the wonderful things that you could create, or the effects that you could create. Here again, whitening up the other side of the leaf, just breaking the surface. I'll be honest, I didn't have my headband magnifiers on and I was struggling to see, and I was too lazy to get up and get them off the other table. Silly me. So I was struggling a little bit. But it's quite big and bold, so no tiny details. And here again, once I'd whitened it up, I'm just roughly adding that angular visual. It's not even texture really, it's just direction of colouring that's more natural. Well, I'm very pleased with that, quite frankly. I think it's looking rather fun. I'm having a bit of trouble with the water. There just seems to be water everywhere. See, the trouble is as well, if I had my headband magnifier on and trying to see sort of inside the glass, my head would be coming into the screen. I know it would. So it's probably best that I kept it off. I tell you what I should have done. I've just thought of it now. Ooh. No, I can't tell you. Because it'll be in the next video. Sorry guys. Oh dear. Okay, quite pleased with that. You can see a couple of little shiny bits on the top that need to be roughed up, but otherwise that's not bad for the initial stages of the first leaf. Probably my oldest set square I've got in my entire workshop. I'm trying to show you roughly the width of the glass. It ranges from about 2.5 mil to there about 1.5 mil, which is not very wide, but I think it'll be all right. It certainly feels substantial. Hope you enjoyed part 1, and coming up shortly will be part 2.